Welcome to 3SN. I'm D-Lab, and with me is James No Doubt Dotson. We will be talking about the Penn State head coaching search, possible candidates, who we think should get the job, who we don't think should even be mentioned for the job. Dotson, how's it going?
It's going all right out here. Just examining the land now that everything is done for the regular season, heading into the postseason, and with that, we got to start looking for a new coach out here in Happy Valley land.
Now, Dotson, since you live in Happy Valley, what's been the candidate's name that's been thrown around the most? Is it Dan Mullen?
It is Dan Mullen, and this is only in the last couple days. Really don't know much about him coming down from Mississippi State, but he's being mentioned nationally, and you know what? The name is really starting to be well known. He's only 39 years old, and he has been known because he helped Florida to 2 national championships as the offensive coordinator for the Florida Gators down with Urban Meyer. So he definitely has that. But another thing, though, he has Pennsylvania roots too. So he is a good fit in Pennsylvania, and I didn't know that until earlier today. He actually he played tight end at Ursinus College in Pennsylvania. So the connections to Pennsylvania and the good quality SEC coaching make him a definite strong top candidate. And as a 39-year-old too, he could be a long-term solution for sure.
Well, now here's the thing with me about him. He's 20-17 at his short tenure there, and yeah, he was with the great Urban Meyer during the Florida years, but I mean that doesn't necessarily translate into instant success, which is apparent by how he's been doing at Mississippi State. And What do you know about the kind of offense he runs? Is it still the same as it was under Urban Meyer? Is it even going to be able to be as efficient in the Big Ten? Because, it is a lot easier to win championships with SEC talent. And, that kind of train of thought's been, kind of valued even more since he hasn't really done much at Mississippi State. So what do you think of all that?
Well, it's not just from his time at Florida. I mean, he's worked with Meyer all the way through, from Bowling Green to Utah and then down, at Florida. But you know what? Mississippi State finished first in the SEC in rushing last season. So I think that tells you right then and there what kind of offense you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of shotgun-type running, a lot of running back play, but a lot of quarterback running too. So you need a mobile quarterback, kind of what Rob Bolden would have been, at least what we thought. I think that he would be a good fit. You'd have to move to the spread offense for sure. I mean, he helped build the spread offense so innovative with Tim Tebow. So I think the kind of athletes, you need the fast SEC-type athletes, and I think when you have recruiting ties all around the country like you had when you were with Urban Meyer, I think that a program can easily be built around that.
Now, we learned today that Tom Bradley has been told that he will coach through the bowl game, and he will be interviewed for a possible position as the full-time head coach at Penn State. Do you take this seriously, or do you think this is kind of more of like a formality in a sense? Like, since he is Tom Bradley, they're just kind of doing it out of respect for him. I mean, is there any chance he even stays as Penn State's head coach or on the staff at all?
Well, I've read multiple sources around campus have confirmed that they are going to be taking interviews. They are going to be taking applications from any and all applicants, including those already on staff. So not only Tom Bradley, but you look at at linebackers coach Larry Johnson, even Joe Paterno honestly could put in his name for consideration. I definitely will guarantee he won't be selected. If anybody is taken from in-house, it would be Tom Bradley, and it's not just out of good nature, out of you've been here for how many years in the program, a great guy. No, he is a realistic coach and a realistic opportunity. And honestly, I feel badly for him that his 3 games as a head coach were against arguably the top 3 teams in the Big Ten. Or 2 of the top 3 at least, I guess. But still, he's guided the team through a chaotic time. He's done it very well. He's brought this team together in a way nobody could ever have imagined. And honestly, his recruiting capabilities, he may not be the next Penn State head coach long term, but I guarantee that Tom Bradley at least stays on the staff. Is he the best choice for head coach? Yeah, I could easily argue that. I think there are a couple out there I'd like to bring in instead of him, but that's only if I keep Tom Bradley on the staff. Do I agree that somebody like Dan Mullen could be a better choice at head coach, only if you keep Bradley as a defensive assistant coach.
So you think he's going to stay, basically?
I think he's going to stay in Penn State blue and white. Whether it's as the head coach or just back as a defensive coordinator is still yet to be seen. I'd be fine with it either way, to be completely honest.
Well, see, I disagree. I think they're going to completely clean house. I don't know how. First of all, we got to see what kind of candidate emerges as the head coach. I mean, Bradley might not fit into his type of defensive schemes. I just don't see how he stays on staff at all. I mean, he is going to want to try and interview for other coaching jobs. Although I think Tom Bradley, as much as I liked him, I met the guy, I think he's done. I think his coaching career is unfairly over. And it's kind of a guilt by association thing, but unfortunately that's the way it is. It's not fair. That's just the way I see it. And I hope I'm wrong, because I like the guy. I wish he would have become the head coach at Pitt, maybe even Temple. But that's the way it is. Now, here's another thing. Since Mullen is a strong favorite, of course that really doesn't mean anything. If Mullen doesn't fall through, who's next in line? Is it Chris Peterson? I know his name's been thrown around. I know you like Pat Fitzgerald. Any other candidates that Penn State fans should keep an eye on?
Well, the name that I've been hearing a lot of has been Mike London. He's 51 years old. He's been coaching at Virginia. He's had 2 stints as an assistant coach at the University of Richmond. But when he took the head coaching job at Richmond in 2008, he led them to a 24-5 record and a national championship. And so I don't know. He's been with the Virginia Cavaliers now for 2 years, and he was named ACC Coach of the Year once. He's a strong, tough-minded guy. I wouldn't mind him. You mentioned Chris Peterson from Boise State. His name began popping up everywhere after their amazing victory against Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl a few years ago that we all remember so well. I think he would be another great pick. Again, though, he's such an offensive-minded coach. Yeah, he does have great defenses out there, but he is an offensive coordinator formerly. He can easily make the switch out to Penn State, and maybe they would end up painting the Penn State turf white in honor of Boise State. Who knows what could happen there. And then, yeah, I love Pat Fitzgerald. I just think he is an absolute tough-nosed, great coach. He comes from a great program of Northwestern, which is all about academics and integrity first, which would be a perfect fit moving to Penn State. But not only that, he's young, a complete turnaround from Joe Paterno. He's the second youngest coach in former Division I, the FBS. He's only 36 years old. And honestly, I mean, I don't know. The only real downside to Pat Fitzgerald is that he's 0-3 in bowl games. But this is with a Northwestern team, and you definitely can say it's classroom first without a doubt. I think they have like a 98% graduation rate, which is how all schools should be, don't get me wrong. But you don't get as good of a talent in Northwestern. So the recruiting is another issue. Don't know how good of a recruiter he would be. But in terms of a player's coach, a tough-nosed guy, I would love to see Pat Fitzgerald come in. And one more name that I'm hearing coming around is Greg Schiano, the head coach at Rutgers. You know what? He was a former Penn State defensive backs coach, so again, a tie to Penn State, but I don't know whether that's a good or a bad side, if they want to keep away from a Penn Stater or if it's going to be better off to have a former Penn State guy come in to take the job. I mean, he coached under Sandusky, so that might hurt his chances, and he may not even be interested in the job. So there's so much skepticism. We don't know what to expect right now.
Well, I don't want Schiano as a Penn State head coach. I never thought he was that great to begin with. Yeah, he had the one great season with Rutgers. when they made it to that bowl game and everything. But, I mean, me watching Big East football and stuff, it's the most boring kind of football there is. He barely has a winning record. He might even have a losing record, if I'm correct. To me, and then, yeah, like you said, all those Penn State ties, I just think there's a 1% chance he even gets looked at for the job. The one guy I want to see as head coach, but I don't think it's going to happen, is Tony Dungy, only because, A, he is just a great football coach. B, his integrity. I mean, I just think it would be, a perfect fit for Penn State. And C, you think I'm a little crazy, but he just kind of has that savior type of personality. Like I said before, just his characteristics, the way he is. He's like, he just seems, I would say for C, he just seems to fit. You know what I mean? Like, how Penn State's been bruised up, their image has been tarnished, blah, blah, blah. Here enter Tony Dungy. I think it would really speed up the process of getting that image away. To have the great Tony Dungy, the respectable Tony Dungy come in and lead the football program. And, of course, he has ties to Pennsylvania, but not really to Penn State. It won't happen just because I don't think he wants to coach Penn State. But I remember on The Fan a few weeks before the Penn State scandal happened, they asked him if he would ever be the next head football coach at Penn State. And he said, you don't have to worry about that. Joe Paterno is going to be coaching forever. Ironically, that didn't happen. But he never shot the idea down.
Exactly. I mean? He never shot the idea down. There was rumors going around before the season even began that Tony Dungy would be the next head coach of Penn State. Now, those rumors also were flying around about Urban Meyer, and we've seen how that's gone out. But, I mean, yeah, Tony Dungy, only 56 years old. He's been out of coaching for past, 3 or 4 years now, which isn't a bad thing, to say the least. I mean, he's stuck with the game. He's working for NBC as an analyst. And you know what? I think he would be a very good pick. And you know what? Maybe bringing a pro coach down would be a better route to go than bringing your college coach essentially up. I mean, really, all the coaches you mentioned have come from lower level teams in terms of what their records have been, or in terms of where they are in the FBS, mid-major conferences, that sort of thing. You also hear rumors flying around here that they're going to end up going with a disciplinarian service academy coach. Air Force's coach being thrown out there a lot, and Navy's coach, the guy from Hawaii, he's been thrown around a lot. There's just so many possibilities right now, and all we can do is speculate right now.
Mm-hmm. Now let me ask you this: what does just your gut say? Who's going to be the next coach? Who's going to be Joe Pa's successor? I know Bradley's the interim, but who's going to be the next full-time head coach at Penn State?
Minute by minute, Alex, and I'm at a loss for words, because as soon as you started asking the question, I knew my answer, and now 10 seconds later, I want to question it. It changes so much. I'm gonna go out and say it. I'm gonna say it's gonna be Tom Bradley, and I want it. He deserves it, and that's not the reason to hire him. Obviously, you don't hire a man because he deserves to be a head coach. You hire him because he is the best man for your job. And I think he has done such a great job in keeping this team and this university together after everything that's happened. I think that he would be a great head coach. I think he can build up a great staff. He has a great recruiting tendencies. And honestly, I think after all is said and done, you still need to keep somebody together in this staff. So I'm gonna go out, and my gut says that it's gonna be Tom Bradley, and I would be all for that.
I'd be for Bradley, too. My gut tells me I think it's going to be Mullen, only because, let's think, Ohio State hired Urban Meyer, and Dan Mullen, of course, knows Urban Meyer better than anyone. And Penn State wanted Urban Meyer. They couldn't get him. They want to take a piece of Urban Meyer and make it part of the program. And Ohio State's, for years, with the exception of this year, has been the class of the Big Ten. They're also going to they're thinking in their minds, I bet, they need Dan Mullen to kind of combat Urban Meyer and, the Ohio State Buckeyes. So I feel like, I think it's going to be him.
And I agree with you, and I was about to say Dan Mullen right when you asked the question, but I stopped myself because a week ago, if I went based off of what coach I hear as the biggest possibility, I would have said without a doubt that Urban Meyer would be the next coach here in Happy Valley, and we've seen how that's ended up. So just because I'm hearing Dan Mullen's name a lot right now doesn't mean anything. Just because I hear Tony Dungy's name right now doesn't mean anything. Honestly, the man whose name you're not hearing much of right now is Tom Bradley. And I think he can do great things as a Penn State head coach, and I wish him the best whether that happens or not. But I will still guarantee that he'll be on the staff no matter what.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, everyone, you heard it here first. You heard our 3SN predictions for who will be the next head football coach. We'll see if any of our other bloggers will give their predictions too. We'll ask Greg the Mad Scientist Schiano who he thinks. So we got me picking Dan Mullen. We got Dotson picking Bradley. And we'll see if we can get a write-up on this. We will get a write-up on this, actually. So in the meantime, it's going to be a fun ride. And check back daily for 360sportsnetwork.com. And you can reach us on Twitter at 3SNetwork. Everyone, have a great night. That you would take it this far. What do I know? Flashing lights.